Hello, welcome back to my channel, and I recently saw in NerdWallet that over 151,000 tech workers were laid off in 2024, and unfortunately 2025 doesn't look a whole lot different at this point. But there is good news. I'm here to cover in today's video some top tips that I've seen that have really helped to stand out when you're job hunting in 2025. And take it from me, I've job hopped literally every year of my 20s, so I'm here to tell you that it is possible to land your first PMM role, especially using some of these helpful tips that I've used in the past. Okay, let's dive into it. My first tip coming in hot is reaching out to the appropriate person on LinkedIn. So either the hiring manager or someone you think has influence over that position that's open at their company. I talk about this in another video as well. Don't reach out to 10 people or the whole function in product marketing, for example, at a company. It's not gonna look good. It's not gonna help your chances. If anything, it's gonna be a deterrent from you moving forward as a candidate. So this is the format that I would use once I find who I think is the appropriate person or is the hiring manager. I'd start the LinkedIn email with saying something along the lines of, "Hi there," or "Hi, first name. I noticed that you are hiring for insert position, and I have experience doing XYZ in the job description. Here are some things to know about my work experience of what I've covered in the past few years." And then I would list out a couple of my key performance metrics, key success metrics I can highlight that align with the qualifications in the open role. I'd love to hop on a call if you're open to it to learn a little bit more about the opportunity and how you like working at XYZ company. Sincerely, your first name. Okay, so let's break down why this is such an incredible approach to reaching out to someone, especially cold. So especially if you've never worked with this person, they don't know you. The first thing that I love is that it reaches out to the right person. So I talked about that a little bit earlier, right? Reaches out to the hiring manager. You could do some research if they're hiring on a certain team, if the title says product marketing manager for XYZ products. Maybe go and look at the company and look at the people under the product marketing function and find a product marketer, and maybe they have that distinction in their title as well. They focus on those products as well. That could give you a good indication that this might be a person who at least has influence over the hiring decision for that open role. Next, what I love is that it gets straight to the point. Now, this might just be me, but I feel like I've talked to other hiring managers in the past as well, and I really am turned off by a LinkedIn message that's something along the lines of like, "Hey, I saw that you went to XYZ university. Hey, I know that you grew up in California." Some kind of weird random fact about me that they learned on my LinkedIn. And I think it has the best intentions. You're trying to show that you took the time to learn a little bit more about that person. But to me, it's just fluff and it feels disingenuous. I know you don't actually care that I went to the same university as you. I think what I love about this approach is it gets straight to the point. Why are you reaching out to me? People have a limited amount of time, and especially time when they're scrolling through LinkedIn. I love this approach because it gets straight to the point. It says you have an open role in this department, and I have experience in this thing, in this qualification that is on the job description. You can also pepper in my years of experience, so you can emphasize how much experience that you have, I have done, and then you're giving those specific metrics. So helpful for me to understand a little bit more about you, just a Cliff Note version. And again, it's so targeted to me. I feel like it's worth my time because you took the time to really figure out who was the right person to reach out to. And in other words, just breaking this down even further, why this is a successful way to network and reach out on LinkedIn is because you're pulling in a specific qualification from the job description and you're doubling down on that with your experience. Super helpful because it helps me as a potential hiring manager, or maybe even someone who's part of the hiring team, think, okay, this person has direct experience. I might not have worked with them in the past, but they're showing me they have direct experience that fills this requirement for the role. So really powerful way of kind of showcasing that you are qualified as a candidate, even if this person may not know who you are. And the next, of course, I've talked about this many times, so the next reason why I think this is such a powerful strategy is because you're emphasizing your metrics. Anytime you can leverage the actual success metrics, how did your work impact the business on the overall goals that you were trying to accomplish? How did your work on that product launch lead to revenue generated or sales opportunities created, or maybe even led to less support tickets, or maybe even more awareness in the market? You're seeing more people go to your website and check out your new products or services. These are all different metrics that you can leverage, but I think it's so important to include those in your message. And lastly, if you can put in those metrics in a really short, easy to read, one sentence bullet point in your LinkedIn message, it's going to be so powerful in helping you stand out as the right candidate for this role. The last line of this message is also a solid strategy because it's not asking outright for an immediate referral. Again, this person doesn't know you in this situation. And I'm just gonna share this because I think a lot of candidates don't really understand this. But at current companies, if the hiring manager has an open role on their team, they fought like tooth and nail for that open role. They sold their soul to get that open role, to get more support. A lot of companies are laying off employees, and then the existing employees are feeling burnt out, not supported, because those employees often don't get backfilled, which is awful. Just know that there's a lot at stake for the hiring manager or anybody that's receiving this kind of message in who they refer. Hiring managers and teammates, they want a lean, mean machine. They want people that they can trust. So you can see how it's difficult to refer someone when you've never worked with them personally. You don't know their style. You don't know if you can ultimately trust them. So I think this message is great because you're really putting at the forefront your qualifications. You're kind of alleviating that fear of like, I don't know this person. And then you're also asking not for a referral outright, but you're asking, hey, would you feel comfortable just talking with me? Just letting me know how you like the company, let me know how you work in product marketing, for example, at that department. So you're really approaching it in a very soft way that feels much better for the person on the other end, that you're not just coming outright asking for a referral and kind of telling them to trust you and put themselves out there as well. So if I got a message like this, I swear to you, I would send this as a referral right away, even if they didn't ask me, because again, I can see that they took the time for that specific job description. They chose a specific qualification that they have a lot of experience in, and then they gave me success metrics to back up that they were qualified. So again, this is such a great example of how to really optimize your strategy when you're job hunting to give you the best chance of standing out in 2025. Okay, let's talk about cover letters. So cover letters are controversial in 2025. So some recruiters or hiring managers might say they're a waste of time. Others say that they're a great way to kind of show your qualifications in more of a story. And honestly, I'm more of the latter. I think that if you're really passionate about a certain job opportunity and you're really passionate about the company, a cover letter can go so far for you to really showcase, again, your storytelling skills and really bringing your resume to life for that position. And you don't need to spend a ton of time on this. Of course, you should customize for each job, so it's not just a blanket template that you're sending out, but there is a way to leverage ChatGPT to make this a lot easier for you as you're applying for multiple roles. So what I do is I actually go into ChatGPT and I say, hey, write a cover letter based off of this job description, put in the job description, and then my resume, and I upload my resume. Now, the ChatGPT, the glory of it is that it will give you a good framework, but you need to further tweak it. So if there are anything that you can further optimize, such as like maybe the industry, so a lot of hiring managers are really focused on an industry, you can go ahead and pepper in those industry keywords so you could show that you're qualified, you understand that industry, you're coming from industry, as they say. So there's things that you can do to further optimize. I wouldn't just copy whatever ChatGPT gave you and then send it off as your cover letter. And take a little bit of time to just further tweak it. You know, if there's certain areas where you want to emphasize maybe a different story or a different metric that aligns better with the job description, if you want to include keywords from the job description, that would be helpful. So these are all things that you can do, but you can see how it will drastically reduce your time spent on cover letters. But I do think it's a nice touch, and I do think it could go a long way. A lot of my jobs that I have landed, I have written a cover letter, and I have had recruiters or hiring managers say that they really enjoyed my cover letter, or that they reviewed it and really liked it, and it prompted them to schedule a call with me. So I do think that it is worth the time. So if you do have a little bit of time, you're passionate about the role, go for it. Okay, so a lot of us are on LinkedIn, and especially if you're looking for a tech product marketing role right now, LinkedIn is probably the biggest place where you can find opportunities and connect with others. And I want to touch on networking again. So we talked about that killer strategy as our first point, but I want to also talk about LinkedIn recommendations. If you don't have them, you need to get them. I want you to think of roughly 10 to 12 people that you can reach out to, former colleagues, maybe former managers, and I want you to ask them for a LinkedIn recommendation. Now, don't ask people that you literally worked on one small project 5 years ago to write you a LinkedIn recommendation. Believe me, I have been there. It's so awkward to get rejected for a recommendation. I have literally received the feedback, hey, we didn't work together that closely. I barely remember you. I don't feel comfortable writing you a recommendation. Super awkward. So please don't do that. Try to be intentional about who you reach out to. And if you are intentional and you're reaching out to those that you worked cross-functionally with very closely, maybe you worked on a big project together, maybe you had good camaraderie with your old manager and they were a good support system for you, then it shouldn't be hard to get a few LinkedIn recommendations, and that will really help you shine as a recruiter or hiring manager is looking over your LinkedIn. And shameless plug, if you are looking for help to optimize your LinkedIn profile, I am currently accepting one-on-one clients in my program. And in my program, you get a LinkedIn optimized profile, you get an optimized resume for product marketing, and also one-on-one interview preparation and coaching. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, please feel free to check out the description in this video. You can learn more and you can sign up for the wait list to learn more about the program. All right, let's get back into it. Okay, let's dive into resume optimization. So next, I'm gonna give you a small resume tweak. When you're creating a resume, you might have several different companies that you've worked at, right? And the hiring manager or recruiter might not be aware of those companies that you worked for. So it's really helpful just to create a small line of what is that company that you worked for. Just a really overarching description, just so they have a good understanding of what that industry was or what that product was. It seems like a really small detail, but it can be very helpful for hiring managers to understand how your industry experience aligns with the current role. And this actually has come directly from a hiring manager that I've spoken to. And I've been knocked on this as a candidate years ago. So especially if you're applying to a new kind of market or new industry or role within a new market, it's really important just to add this one little line. It doesn't need to be a super long, detailed description of the company, but just saying this was an HR recruiting software company, or this was a food processing company, whatever it is. Just give the recruiter and the hiring manager a little insight on what that company does. And of course, speaking of resumes, just please don't include a ton of positions that aren't relevant to the current role that you're trying to get. Now, this could be really hard and can be kind of confusing if you're trying to break into a new role. For example, maybe you've been in sales for 4 or 5 years, you're trying to land your first product marketing role. So in that case, what I would do is I would kind of use your title that you were given in sales, and then I'd put / product marketing intern. Now, don't be dishonest. If you truly didn't do any product marketing projects when you were at that company, don't write that. The reason why I say that is you don't want to be misleading. You don't want to give the hiring manager or recruiter any indication that you're fudging some of the things in your resume. So that's what I did when I transferred from sales into product marketing. I started taking on these projects while I was in sales that were very PMM focused. And so I tailored that experience in my resume to be applicable to like product marketing projects. So I didn't really talk about my sales metrics or like my sales process. I talked about the product marketing projects that I took on while I was at that company. So I made it really tailored to the position I was trying to get. And resumes can be so powerful in the sense that they can actually invoke a sense of confidence from the candidate by the words that you choose to use in describing your experience. And what I mean by that is you can change the language in your resume to sound more confident, to make you sound like you're more confident even when you haven't even spoken to the hiring manager or recruiter yet. And the way that you can do this is that first word in that bullet that you write with your experience, how you use that word. So you can say something like, I was given, I was supposed to, like these kind of like they seem very passive, right? It's like you were given this project. You didn't ask, you didn't own it. And so I think if you can really tweak that first word in your resume bullet point when you're talking about your experience to say something more confident. I conducted, I facilitated, I led the go-to-market strategy, I project managed this, I owned this. I think it just gives that sense of like power and confidence coming through your resume. So it's just crazy how this one little tweak to your bullet points can really evoke a sense of confidence in you as a candidate and really help you stand out in your job search. All right, and a bit of rapid fire resume tweaks here of how I think that you can stand out as a candidate in 2025. The first is, let's remove that objective section at the top of your resume. Unless you are trying to switch from a certain role into a new role, I think that could be helpful. So if you are currently in product marketing, for example, and you're just trying to get another product marketing role, then let's remove the objective section. But if you are coming from management consulting or maybe customer success and you're trying to get into a product marketing role, I'd highly advise that you put the objective just to give someone a sense of why you're applying to a product marketing role when you have that experience in another role. And also, let's get rid of your full home address. Not necessary, you don't need it. And get rid of the dates of your graduation. Really, really unfortunate, but a lot of recruiters or hiring managers will look at the date and it will actually impact whether you get a product marketing manager role, a senior role, a director role, etc. So let's not give them any kind of indication of your graduation date and let them look at you and lowball you. So this also goes for ageism. We hear this a lot, and it is very prevalent that if someone sees that you graduated years ago, they might have some kind of weird biases towards that. And I don't agree with that, but there are people out there that have that bias. So let's just get rid of that so you stand out as a candidate and how you're qualified, and you don't give them excuses that are frankly really stupid to look past you. Lastly, I know that there are a lot of really cool resume templates out there for design and you can get really fancy, but I just don't want the resume template or the design to distract away from your qualifications and why you're a good candidate for the role. So try to keep it more simple, outline very clear sections, your education, your work experience, your hard skills. So just make it really clear, and you don't need to add a photo to your resume. I've heard this many times from recruiters. Like, you can leave that off. The plainer, the simpler, actually the better. So let's focus on your qualifications and how you shine versus your fancy resume template. And if you're having trouble getting interviews or moving forward in your product marketing candidacy, as I said earlier, I am accepting one-on-one clients into my product marketing program called the PMM Accelerator. In the PMM Accelerator, you'll get access to my one-on-one coaching sessions where we can practice for your upcoming interviews. We can work on optimizing your LinkedIn and optimizing your resume. So if this sounds like something that you'd be interested in and you're currently in the job market for a new product marketing role, feel free to check out the description in this video to learn more. Alrighty, I hope this video was helpful. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.